welcome to the D3D4 Football Podcast with me, your host, James Richards. Welcome to the D3D4 Football Podcast as we enter, I think it's fair to say, the business end of the season. Not many teams got a lot more than 10 games to go, although some do. Looking at the league table, crazy amount of disparity between the number of matches played, as is this season. I'm joined, as always, by Ed Walker and Chris Stringer. Let's just check in with you boys. Ed, how you been?
I'm not too bad, James. I can't believe how far into the year we are already. And how far into this season we are. Feels like we only just started last week.
Is it right? How long is there actually left? There's not long, is there?
There's about 10 games to most clubs, I think.
In terms of time frame, though, was it a month or something?
6 weeks, maybe?
It's not long, is it? And then we'll have the void that is summer.
Well, we've got the Euros this year.
I suppose, yeah. Have they decided where that's playing yet?
I think they're still planning on doing it across Europe.
Yeah.
Oh, what a sensible idea that is.
I know Boris Johnson was trying to get it held all in the UK because it looks like we'll be the best place to host it, which is a real turn of events I didn't see coming.
No. Yes, I don't see any problems with the way they're planning to do it as it stands. So, Chris, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, not too bad. I'm same as Ed. I can't believe that we're already nearly at the end of March. It's just been, it's been a surreal 12 months, but especially the first 3 months of this year have just been bonkers. Yeah. But plodding along.
Indeed. Well, I apologise to our listeners this week because I do have a cold, but it is, my kids are back at school, been back, just over a week, so it's, like clockwork, bringing back the lurgy. Lovely. I'll try not to sniff my way through this. I can't, so I won't be in tears when I talk about Oxford this week, as they were absolutely terrible. Although Blackpool, in fairness, were very good, but we'll get onto that. As, in fact, we will now, as we jump into League One.
League One.
And I pretend I'm going to start with Oxford. I'm not. I've got to start with Portsmouth because, as per usual, they decided, a League One and 2 team decided to sack their manager shortly after finishing this pod recording. It happens every week. It really does. Like you were saying off air, Chris, you're surprised John Sheridan survived, but he got a win, big win.
He did. For
his team this week. But Portsmouth, they got rid of Kenny Jackett. It didn't really come as a surprise. They'd lost 5 in a row, I think, before, and that was the final straw. Losing in the EFL Trophy final. Not many people will have that as their final straw, to be honest.
It must have been decided anyway, and they thought, they give him his day at Wembley after the service he's given to the club, I guess.
Yeah,
that can't have been the deciding factor, losing in the rearranged EFL Trophy from 2020.
No, the deciding factor is 5 games without a win, wasn't it?
Yeah.
4 straight defeats, and the league season looking like it was falling apart quite badly. But they went for Danny Cowley, who obviously on this podcast we know very well. He's been on here a few times. And I think this is a superb appointment, absolutely superb appointment for a club like Portsmouth. I think Danny will love it there because there's huge ambition, good ownership, an opportunity to really take that club forward. For most of the existence in my lifetime, Portsmouth have been in what is now the Championship. They did have those wonderful years in the Premier League as well, but obviously bankrupted themselves essentially doing it. Much of that to do with the infrastructure or lack of infrastructure that they have to support a bigger club in terms of the stadium is lovely but well antiquated, as we know. I don't think they even have. They always used to talk about turning it like 90 degrees and then expanding it where it is, but they lost the land. I think the car park was behind one of the stands, so they can't do that anymore. And I always remember they had this stadium design which looked great on the seafront, but I think the aircraft carriers and the military went, actually you can't do that. It kind of blocks our line of sight. We actually can't get our boats through, which is a bit of a gaffe on their part. But Danny Cowley, chaps, very, very capable manager. I put out that he is proven at Championship level. I got a mixed response to that because
controversial.
He took over.
He has only had a season, James. I see what the argument was.
I get it.
I know what you mean. I thought he did fine at Huddersfield. I thought he did okay, but I know what you mean.
Proved,
if you're saying
he
championship,
proved in that short spell, though, he is more than capable of
yeah, definitely
running a club and managing a club that are bigger, that are in a tougher division. And what he achieved with Huddersfield, frankly, was pretty special considering where they were when he came in. But I get
a lot of problems, didn't they, at the time?
Oh, they were woeful. They were absolutely woeful, and they're not that much better, really. I think they would have been better keeping him, but never mind. That's a chapter that's closed, and a new one at Fratton Park is open. Let's get your thoughts on it, Ed. Starting with you. He's not had a bad season anywhere he's been, has he?
Oh, I absolutely love this appointment. Love every bit of it. I cannot see anything that will go wrong with this, really. I think Portsmouth, they have one of the league's best squads already. You look at people with quality like Marcus Harness, Tom Naylor, Ryan Williams, Ronan Curtis, Jack Watmouth. They just need a manager inside. You just always felt like Jackett really wasn't going to take them over the line. I really think they could with this, and they're so close to. I think they're just on the edge of the playoffs now with some games in hand on those above them. They're not out of this at all. He could end up getting them in the top 6 this season. If he doesn't this season, you really fancy him to kick on because he's just a terrific manager. I'll be waiting ages to find out where him and Nicky go. So I'm really pleased to see them at Portsmouth. I think we have to call them Portsmouth now, don't we? After they changed their badge.
Well, I haven't seen this. What's this?
They changed it, I think, just before they announced it, they changed it because it normally says Portsmouth Football Club as in M-O-U-T-H. They changed it to M-O-O-T-H because I think that's how Danny pronounces it.
Oh.
I think they call them Portsmouth from now on.
Portsmouth. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I can actually hear him saying that. Yeah. But I think, I agree with you 100%. Great appointment. And, you say he may get them in. I think he will get them in the playoffs.
I think he's got to, hasn't he? I mean, with it being such a short-term appointment, I think it's...
The thing is...
Get us into the playoffs if you don't.
The thing is, isn't it? There's a lot of teams that we're looking at and thinking you could easily get in there. It's going to be such a good race. There's going to be some good teams that miss out.
I look at it and I think, in terms of, you just look at the squads that each club has available to them. You look at Portsmouth and you think they should be in that mix. They should absolutely be in that mix. I mean, arguably they could have been a lot higher. And one of the teams that I really thought would be probably winning the league, actually, if I'm honest.
They should be up. They should be one of the teams that are really pushing for the automatics. I don't think it should be a question of whether or not they make the playoffs. I think that effectively should have been a given for them.
Well, absolutely, yeah. But they beat Ipswich yesterday. Paul Cook, a new manager, fairly recently appointed by Ipswich Town, and I don't think he can have a huge amount to complain about. James Norwood gave them the lead. I think McGillivray's been an excellent keeper, and he made a couple of good stops in this one. Harness was playing sort of on that right-hand side with James Bolton behind him, and they had a very good game. Williams and Geordie Huula were up front, so you might look at that and think, well, there's not much physicality there potentially. But I'm very pleased. It's a very pleasing result, of course. Andy Cannon in midfield with Naylor. Naylor's a bit grit. Cannon maybe a license to get forward a bit more. I mean, you've got an excellent team on paper there, and now it's about getting the most out of them. And I think if you're looking at the Cowley brothers and their record, you'd back them to do it. I'm not sure about Ipswich. That was a big loss in terms of their chase for the playoffs. And again, they do have a quality squad. They were playing like a 4-2-3-1 yesterday. And you look at some of the players in that lineup, and they're excellent. There's some very good young players in there. Duzel, I remember his dad playing for Ipswich. I think he's going to be an excellent player. But Danny Cowley, excellent appointment. We also have a new manager in situ at Charlton Athletic, Nigel Adkins, replacing Lee Bowyer. I was trying to think if there's a more contrasting pair of managers.
Harry Kewell and Keith Curle.
Yeah,
that's a good shout. Actually. That's a good shout.
I still, in terms of style, I'd agree. I think in terms of personality, I can't think, because Lee Bowyer, he's very, he's a bit grumpy. To be honest, he's grumpy, isn't he? He's grumpy. Comes out with a tirade after most games in which Charlton have not performed particularly well. But Nigel Adkins is literally Mr. Positive, isn't he? And an excellent record. Again, your take on this one. They drew 2-2 at Wimbledon yesterday. Very hard to sort of, like same with Danny Cowley, put too much emphasis on one game. But in terms of the appointment overall, Ed, your take on it firstly?
I really like Nigel Adkins. I'm really happy to see him back in management. I think the only thing I'm quite gutted about is, because he's a manager, does this mean we're not going to get his motivational videos every morning on Twitter? That one of the things I really liked about him was that he was out on his walks and he'd come out and put this positive video, talk about doing 3 things every day, always really bright and smiley as we know he is. I'm going to miss that if he's not doing it anymore.
Yeah, I wonder do you think he was positive with Akinfenwa for that glorious?
Yeah, probably not with that bit.
No, that was terrible. I don't get that. Sometimes, you sort of pass it out to the defender who's on the edge of the 5-yard box, and then 6-yard box, and then he passes it straight back to the keeper, who then usually just wellies it downfield.
Well, I mean, the pass was quite short. Didn't exactly put a lot of power behind it. Just kind of was slowly rolling to the keeper, and was it Longman who got into equalise? Yeah.
Yeah, his first brace. Another pair of assists for Liam Millar. I always call him Millar because it is AR, not and he's been excellent, an excellent signing for Charlton. Really like him. I think he's got a great future, and his link-up play with Stockley was impressive again. Again, you look at the Charlton squads, Chris. This is a very decent team. I mean, I have my concerns about their defence, but apart from that, everywhere else you look, with the likes of Foster, Caskey, Shinnie in there, Morgan, Albie Morgan's an excellent player, Stockley, Washington, Miller. I mean, this is a good team, and then Chucks and Eco as well. You can bring in to that as well. Charlton, also, I mean, amazingly, we talk about sides that you don't talk about much, but they're in the playoff places as it stands.
Yeah, and I think at the start of the season we were wondering what it might be like in terms of their financial situation, but we did say, if things settle down, this is a very good squad, and they should be pushing for the playoffs if things were to settle down, which they did in the end. And they've done just that. You've mentioned Stockley, who has been superb, and Millar, if that's how we're pronouncing it.
Millar.
Where are you from, Devon?
Yeah, they have been excellent.
Yeah, I've been very impressed. Not the result they were probably looking for yesterday, but a big point for AFC Wimbledon, Ed.
Yeah, massive point for them in what's proving a very close relegation battle between, probably you'd say, about 6 teams at the moment. So there's everything to play for down there. Yeah,
we'll talk about this actually. And what better game to bring us onto to discuss this relegation dogfight than Rochdale 3, Peterborough 3.
They're back.
Rochdale's
back.
Doing what they do best. Isn't it funny how, you've watched the match and then you see Rochdale and you go, you know what? Why didn't I watch Rochdale? It's so much more entertaining. I mean, there were, 3 goals in the 87th minute onwards in this game? Utterly ridiculous. Yeah. And Siriki Dembele scored a great goal in this as well, just to prove what a good player he is. But I think Peterborough will see this as a massive 2 points dropped in their bid for automatic promotion, because they were comfortable in that first half, 2-0 up at half time, but they just seemed to take their foot off the gas, and individual errors cost them. They switched off for the goals, and I'm sure Darren Ferguson is not happy at all that they've let this one slip away. In the end, they were very lucky to get a point out of it at all. I mean, no real complaints about the penalty, although it was rather theatrically embellished. It was certainly a foul. So, but yeah, it's Baron Barry Murphy. Do we back him still? Because there's mixed views, isn't there, from Rochdale about this, Chris?
Yeah, I think I read somewhere that he did get a contract extension that no one realised was an extension. Because I think his contract was originally supposed to expire at the end of this year, and then in a fans meeting, the chairman said it expired at the end of next season. So if I've interpreted that correctly, it sounds like the board at Rochdale are backing him. He plays entertaining football, and I think they're looking in a difficult situation, but certainly not gone, bottom of League One. But I think should they stay up or should they go down, I think Barry Murphy's the man to have at the helm, because he plays entertaining football, and I think if they go down, he'll get them back up, and if they stay up, I think he'll get them pushing on.
Yeah, very difficult season to judge them by, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's entertaining football, isn't it? But I can't ignore that goals against column.
Yeah,
67 conceded.
Yeah, goodness me. They don't defend. Let's be honest. They just don't defend. They just try and outscore people, which it has its merits, but it also is. It's got some shortcomings which are pretty apparent with their position in the league table.
I think aren't they they're on a long run without a win at home, as I remember right.
16 games without a home win.
Yeah.
Anywhere else, in any other club, he's gone, isn't he? Let's be honest.
I mean, that's what effectively got Kuhl sacked at Oldham.
Yeah, but Rochdale 32 points, 36 games played, and then Swindon in 19th, 34 points, 36 games played.
I love the relegation battle. Every year in League One, the relegation battle is so entertaining.
I'm sure, Ed, you're enjoying it now from the lofty position of 41 points from 35.
I'm enjoying it a bit more. It's not done yet, but definitely, yeah. I like that.
Well, yeah, isn't it wonderful that we had Burton and Shrewsbury looking really in serious trouble, and then they changed managers, and all their worries just floated away. It was an amazing achievement from Steve Cottrell at Shrews, and of course Jimmy Floyd-Husbank and Dino at Burton. Wonderful change of fortunes. But yeah, that relegation battle, big point for Wimbledon. Northampton, they lost yesterday 1-0 to Crewe. Dale getting the only goal of that one. Wigan started well. Callum Lang again on the score sheet. Really early goal in this game, but they lost 3-1 at Accrington. And that leaves them stuck down there. Plymouth beating Bristol Rovers. Do we still think Joey Barton's got what it takes to keep Bristol Rovers up, guys?
If not him, then who?
Yeah,
I think he's got the right. I think he's got the right personality to get them going. And actually, as I said before, if he can't get them going, I'm not sure anyone can.
Do you agree with that, Ed?
Yeah, I'd have to agree. Can we call him a sort of firefighter manager, someone who comes into trouble to try and sort it out in this situation?
I've never heard Joey Barton and fighter used in the same sentence. I don't know where you've got that from.
It's funny though, isn't it? He's suddenly got this notion that he's a firefighter manager when he's actually only had one job since being in management, and it was a pretty long stint.
No, I suppose actually, yeah. That's a good point.
I think it's his personality. It just lends itself to this idea that he'll come in and motivate a team and get them winning. I mean, it's anyone's guess. I'm not going to sit here and predict who's going to stay up and go down, because frankly, any of those 6 teams, there's going to be 4 very disappointed sides because they're all right in this. And Rochdale will feel hugely aggrieved that they keep scoring lots of goals but letting in far too many. Wimbledon haven't been in any sort of great form. Northampton did pick up, but again losing matches and not scoring goals has been their big problem. Not getting enough goals. It's leaving them really vulnerable. John Sheridan, like we said at the beginning of the show, thought he was not going to survive. He was talking about himself talking about leaving, but a massive win at a very difficult place to go at Fleetwood yesterday. A huge credit to him for that. Chris, you know him better than anyone else. I mean, the one thing to note here, Scott Twine should be playing every week because he was probably the best player in League Two. Arguably was the best player in League Two this season. Certainly the most creative player during his spell. And scored some great goals and a brace yesterday, which could end up being so important.
Yeah, I mean, I am amazed that John Sheridan is still in a job. He's not putting the performances that people would have hoped for Swindon. He's managed to, wind up the fans a bit. They absolutely do not back him. And yet he's managed to keep his job and got a fantastic win yesterday. I think he said in the week, because obviously he made comments last week saying I need to think carefully about my position at this club, and then midweek said I back myself to improve things and get the club out of the situation it's in the relegation battle. Yeah. Look, he's got history with Oldham, especially in getting us out of relegation scraps. He's capable of it, but it sort of feels like he's made a big mess and now having to slightly recover it. I'm not sure he'll last too much longer if he doesn't maintain the performances that we saw yesterday and the clean sheet we saw yesterday.
Yeah, Camp played really well actually in goal. I was impressed.
He did, yeah.
Yeah,
and the defence as a whole were actually really impressive.
Yeah, was it Anthony Grant playing like the centre back? He's done that a few times.
Centre of a 3, yeah.
Yeah.
5, I think it was, but
he's done that a few times. They played like a I suppose it was a 3-4-2-1. But I mean, actually, that prong, that trio in attack, pretty good, really. Jackie Payne, Scott Twine, and Brett Pittman. You know, that's not a bad trio to have if you're fighting to stay in a division. I prefer to have them over some of the choices that other clubs have available to them. So,
yeah,
you know, that's an impressive win for Swindon. I mean, battles off the pitch as well going on. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with all of that, of course. Gillingham 2, Doncaster Rovers 2. Literally, my internet died for 4 minutes yesterday, about 20 minutes into the games, and Gillingham were 2-0 up at that stage. It came back on, and it was blooming 2-2. And James Coppinger is just absolutely brilliant player. There's no.
I can't believe your internet cut out, James.
Yeah, God, it's a nightmare.
I'd like you to do that.
Yes.
I know.
Yeah, you guys are very patient on this podcast with me dipping in and out and then trying to find out what a train of thought was. It's a bit of a challenge, but so James Coppinger, assist and a goal. Important vital in my opinion, that Doncaster didn't lose this. Because they're the one team I look at in that playoff race at the moment which I have the least confidence in, just based on recent form. Is that a fair assessment?
I think so, yeah. I mean, I look at Portsmouth, who now have the new managers in, and they're the sort of ones I'd interchange in a prediction.
Yeah. I don't know. What do you reckon? Do you think Doncaster will come good, Ed? I mean, they've been poor of late generally.
Yeah, we were always quite worried when Darren Moore went off, didn't we? But I think it's Andy Butler, isn't it?
Yeah.
Who's got I think he's done all right to keep themselves still in the mix, and we'll have to see. They need to make advantage of this large number of games in hand they've got on others, so we'll see what happens with that.
Indeed. One other team in the playoff race very much not talked about, though, are Blackpool. They've only played, is it 33 games? 34 games? Mm-hmm. Something like
33.
That. 33. I'll be very honest. I watched the game yesterday and was expecting it to be a lot closer than it was, but there was only one team in it. Blackpool were dominant. They kept Oxford at arm's length. We didn't really trouble them. We had, I think Mark Sykes probably had our best effort. We had a couple from long range, but really, if I'm making an honest assessment of it and trying to be a little objective here, the only way I saw that really going was Blackpool increasing their lead and not Oxford getting back in it. And credit to Blackpool, because they've got a lot of injuries. We know that. But they've got depth and strength in depth. They did some very good recruitment in the summer. They've got enough talent in there, you think, to push them on. They're on a great run as well, isn't it? 9 unbeaten? Is that right? Something like that? Four straight away wins. And what impressed me was the energy that they can and the pressure that they applied on Oxford. We really couldn't get out of our half. Our attacks were pretty much non-existent. I think Dougal played very well. Matty Virtue played very well. Ballard looks good. Thornilly looks good. He's good pair of centre backs. I like Turton playing on the right as a sort of right back. I don't like him at centre back. And it pains me to say Garbutt was decent at left back, which during his time at Oxford he was anything but decent at left back.
It's always the way.
Yeah, no, he was okay going forward. To be fair to him, like when we moved him further up the pitch, his deliveries from set pieces are always very, very good. But he was incapable of defending. He's come along. I'd say a long way in that regard. Grant Ward was superb. Solly Kaiko was excellent. Embleton, to be honest, didn't notice him too much, but Yates was full of running. They were all full of this press, this running, and they were absolutely superb. Physically better than Oxford, tactically better than Oxford, and should have probably won it by more. So, are we looking at Blackpool as a side to really challenge for the playoffs? That's my question to you boys this morning.
I think you've got to look at them. I think you'd be foolish not to.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I personally don't think they will, but I think they're absolutely in the mix.
Their defensive record's brilliant.
29 goals this season. Yeah,
only Sunderland have got a better one.
Yeah, it's surprising, isn't it? Like I said, they're a team that we don't talk about a lot because they've had so many cancellations and they've been sort of mid-table for ages. But this run that they're on at the moment is absolutely impressive. And when they get their other players back and the depth that they've got to call upon, they're going to be seriously. I mean, I think they're playing Peterborough next. Is that right? I can't remember off the top of my head. But they're going to be a handful for whoever they play.
They've got Peterborough and then Plymouth.
Yeah, both at home, and they've got to go to Swindon, isn't it? Gillingham games come up. I mean, the next 5 games, they've got some tricky opponents. They've got to play Peterborough, Plymouth, Gillingham and Lincoln. And going to Swindon under John Sheron's never easy. The pitch is not particularly good at the county ground at the moment either. So some real big games.
Conducive to Chesball, that.
Chesball, yeah.
Chesball.
But yeah, no, I'm hugely impressed by what I saw from them yesterday. Really good team, and one certainly to keep an eye on. And it just highlights, I think, as an Oxford fan, that we are not quite in the same category. We're not in the same bracket as those teams going for the playoffs. We're just not. We just don't quite have enough. We're good when we play the sort of the teams at near the bottom and we show some class, but against the better sides, I'm not confident, and I don't back us to make the playoffs at the moment. It's a long shot. Burton lost 2-1 to Milton Keynes Dons. Milton Keynes, impressive victory. I think that's 3 on the bounce for them now. Again, yep. I don't see them being anything other than a mid-table side, or upper mid-table side perhaps, come the end of the season, but there's certainly a lot of progress being made. Burton, the playoff dream is over, Ed.
Well, there's never a playoff dream to begin with. You made this up.
I didn't make it up. It's genuine.
You were putting it in their heads. You put it in their heads.
Yeah, the dark horses. And
dark horses.
The curse strikes again.
The one defeat, yeah.
No, I saw you tweeting about it, Ed. You were saying to everyone, come on, we're in the playoff hunt now. Seriously.
Yeah.
I know. Don't put words in my mouth, no.
No, I saw that as well. I saw that.
Yeah, you can go and delete them, but we all know you said it. So.
Yeah. I've got the screenshot, Ed.
I'm sure you have.
Shrewsbury Town, massive credit to them as well. A 1-1 draw with Hull. They've got a good record, Shrewsbury have, against the better teams in the league this season. They've taken 4 points off Hull. I mean, that takes some doing. A very good performance in terms of, I think, you have to be pretty defensively resolute to get anything against Grant McCann's side. Again, this is a team that Oxford were very easily battered aside by last Saturday.
Shrewsbury's goal as well, so I've just remembered it was a free kick, wasn't it?
Yes, was this the one that bounced back off Ingram?
Yeah, which yes. I sort of hate it has to go down as an own goal.
That's not an own goal.
Fortunately, it is, lads.
I know.
It's a shame, because it should go to Ogbeaton. It was a lovely free kick.
He hit that.
Hell of a hit.
It had to be Doherty, though, didn't it, that equalised after what he did there. But, I mean, that's a great result for Shrewsbury. No doubt about it. Good to see that the manager's getting better as well, because, I mean, that's the most important thing in all of this, is that Steve Coxwell's health improves and he gets better. But I do like the Udo and Wally combination up front, just not necessarily because they're going to score lots of goals, but they do work very hard. They put teams under pressure, and Wally's a technically very good player. Ogbetta's a good outlet for them on that left side, and I think he's improved them since coming in. And generally speaking, again, another good result for Shrewsbury in a match that you on paper probably wouldn't give them much of a chance in. And finally, Sunderland and Lincoln drew 1-1. This is a big game because right at the top of these two sides, Sunderland in absolutely great form. When Sunderland took the lead, I honestly didn't think Lincoln would get back into it, but they've got a great record on the road this season and managed to pull themselves back from the brink and actually could have won it. Morgan Rogers having a shot which Lee Burge made a great save. And Lee Burge, I know he has a mistake in him, but you can't deny that he's an excellent shot stopper, and he's got is it the most clean sheets by quite some way in League One now this season? I think he's had 17 clean sheets in the league this season.
You get this with League 1 and 2 fans. They'll complain about their goalkeeper because they make common errors, but that's basically the reason the goalkeeper's playing in League 1 or League 2 and not the Championship. I think that's the big defining factor, is how error prone a goalkeeper is. But on the whole, players like Burge are fantastic goalkeepers.
Yeah, they are. Of course they are. I mean, to play professionally in goal for, there's only 92 starting spots in the EFL, or not in the EFL, sorry, in the Football League, I should say. And so to get one of them, you have to be good. I mean, you can always tell, though, can't you, when you get a keeper on loan who is just a cut above the division you're in.
Yeah. You can see that they've had that tighter training and just a bit more disciplined.
Yeah, natural ability. I mean, I remember Oxford got Paul Gerrard on loan.
Legend.
Oh yeah, he was one of the best keepers I've seen for Oxford. in my time supporting them. I mean, I'd probably say he is the best that I've seen.
Yeah, he was. I mean, he's got a close place to Oldham fans' hearts, but he was fantastic for us.
I have a feeling we got him on loan from Everton. It might have been at the time, but he was, yeah. And like I say, you can tell when you get that goalkeeper who's just a cut above it. And there's a lot of good young keepers in the lower leagues at the moment plying their trade. But so a 1-1 draw. But to be fair, like we have in the past made a comment about the 1-1 draws that Sunderland get. But actually, to be fair, this is not one of those ones, is it? They're on a good run. They're playing a team who are right in the mix, and they're actually above. They're above Lincoln now, and they've still got a game in hand. So let's have a look at that league table. Hull are top, 37 games played, so they've played more than all of the top 6 bar Charlton. They've got 69 points on the board. So that result against Shrewsbury, that Shrewsbury could have done some of those sides chasing automatics a massive favour there as we get into the sort of the business end of the season now, as we approach those last sort of 10 games or so. Peterborough second. Again, they'll be frustrated though. Points dropped in their opinion yesterday. 35 games played, 66 points. Level on matches played, but only 2 points behind them are Sunderland, who are now third, really, in this automatic promotion mix. And you wouldn't have said that. God, you wouldn't have said that even after a few games of Lee Johnson, but he's really turned them around. Lincoln fourth, Doncaster fifth. Doncaster only played 34 games, they have 57 points, and Charlton in sixth. And that leaves Portsmouth just outside as it stands, only by a point, 2 games in hand on Charlton. So, if they win those, they will be in those playoff places. Gillingham, they'll be frustrated. Verdane Oliver is superb again, but they'll be frustrated that they had a 2-goal lead and let that slip, because they're 37 games played, 54 points. So they played a few more games and they've got some points to make up as well. And I don't see. Ipswich under Paul Cook could make it because they've got games in hand. This games in hand stuff is absolutely crazy. And Blackpool, who he talks about, in 10th place, but they've got 53 points with 3 games in hand on a number of teams above.
4 on some, even 4 on Charlton.
Indeed, yeah, exactly. So that could take them into the mix. Oxford back down to 11th, so we are where we belong, really. And as we said at the bottom, Rochdale, Wimbledon, Northampton and Wigan are currently the bottom 4, but there's only 2 points separating Rochdale and 19th place Swindon, with Burton and Shrewsbury well out of it now, 41 points and 43 points respectively. So it's going to be a very exciting end to the season at the bottom of League One. Heartbreaking though for some. Let's jump into League Two. League Two is very interesting because, like we've talked about the relegation race, and that's where we're going to start today. Because I was having a good look at this yesterday, and I think Ed, you were saying that fans are all saying, "Oh, our team is in trouble, we're going down, blah blah blah." But actually, until Grimsby and Southend pick up wins, which I'm not sure I can see them doing at the moment.
No.
Ever.
Other teams are fine. The points gap at the moment is it 7 points between Southend?
It's a 7-point gap between Colchester United in 22nd and Southend United in 23rd.
Yeah, and this is I think the only team I can see based on their form and what I've watched of them this season that any of these sides can catch, either Grimsby or Southend, is Colchester.
Yeah.
You might argue Walsall in their current run, but again But do you see Southend? And we'll talk about Southend rather than Grimsby, because I think Grimsby, I really am struggling to see.
I think they're gone.
Well, they've got a game in hand, so I mean they're technically on the same. They could technically be on the same points total as Southend, but I mean
they're not going to be though, are they? They're not.
They're just not winning. Just not winning games of football.
And they just don't look like winning.
Yeah, I thought they put in a decent performance yesterday, and it was good to see Williams come on, because I don't like how he's been frozen out, because he is a talented player. He's had his injury problems which have really damaged his career, but as a talent and a player, what a free kick he scored yesterday, by the way. He is someone Grimsby might if they fit into a Paulhurst work hard team, get a lot more out of. But anyway, Colchester, they lost to Port Vale yesterday in this massive relegation dogfight. A huge result for Port Vale. That's back-to-back wins for them. and those back-to-back wins should see them safe. If I'm honest, but Colchester have won one match in the last 20 in the league.
Jesus,
it's awful.
That's
isn't it?
bad. That's so bad.
Yeah, and we talk about their data. Their data suggests that they're the worst, really, in most categories. But I put it to you guys: do you actually see Southend or Grimsby catching them? Because they've got to win. Southend have got to win 3 games to overtake them, essentially.
Well, let me put it this way: 20th of April, almost a month today, it's Colchester United v Southend United, and that by then could be enormous.
I might be watching that one.
That would be absolutely huge. And it all depends. I've more confidence in Southend gaining points than I do in Colchester gaining points. Because Southend, they shot themselves in the foot yesterday, really, going 1-0 up against a Scunthorpe side that were down to 10 men and still conceded a 90th minute equaliser to Alfie Beeston. That 3 points could have helped them loads yesterday. But I do feel like there's some fight in Southend. I'm still impressed with the way they play. I think the front line's excellent. I really like Ricky Holmes. Really like Nathan Ferguson. I think Simeon Akinola's proving a handful up top on his own.
They're not scoring enough, though, are they? That's the big issue.
Yeah, Rico Hackett-Fairchild's looking quite good off the left-hand side, looking someone who can be quite dangerous. They're just not converting the opportunities that fall their way.
So if they can start goals this season.
They've scored 1 in the last 6, is it?
Yeah, but then it's not I don't think it's the lack of trying, to be honest. I think they are putting the effort in. It's just not finding the net at the end of it.
22 goals this season is dreadful.
Yeah, it's not been good. I mean, I know that Mark Mosley was saying, we've got to take more risks, we've got to be braver, but these are just words. Practically, you watch the game. Were they creating chances, Ed?
They were definitely creating more than Scunthorpe were. Definitely. There was a good opportunity for Ricky Holmes. They could have been probably 1 or 2 ahead within the first half. There was a moment where I think it was Akinola who got in behind Mark Howard, had a shot at goal, which is kind of just rolling across the line, and Jordan Clark was able to get across and cover. They only really looked like scoring, to be honest, on that penalty, which they won, which was a bit of a weird situation anyway, where Jordan Clark basically pushes into the chest of Timothy Dieng, and Dieng goes down holding his face.
Yeah, I mean, that was...
Which was very dodgy. He gets a red card. I'm not sure it was a red card affair for Jordan Clark.
I say this. One, it's not a red card, so they should appeal that for sure. It is a penalty, because, you push him in the box.
It's a clear push.
Secondly, they should suspend Dieng for cheating. It's play acting.
Yeah,
it's cheating.
No,
and it's on the video evidence.
I'm sure we've had situations where the opposition player has been retrospectively suspended for. In fact, it was that FA Cup game a couple of years ago against Hampton and Richmond.
Yeah.
Where their player threw themselves to the floor and he was retrospectively suspended.
I hate this side of the game where, fair enough, if he's pushed him over, he's pushed him over, but to hold your face...
I mean, it was just... and it wasn't even really a push, was it? It was a tickle.
Well, I think he was aggravated by something Dieng had done before, and the camera didn't really show it that well, but you could see the push on Dieng as the ball came across over their heads. So the push was clearly there, but the fact he goes down holding his face, and apparently got treatment on his face for a push on the chest.
Oh, behave.
Oh, God, it's sickening that, isn't it? I'm sorry, just ban them. Ban players who do that, and then it will stop it. And if it doesn't stop it, then you're going to have a lot of players on suspension, and they deserve to be there, because I can't stand that side of the game. Yeah. But Scunthorpe, there's no doubt that Jordan Clark will be disappointed with himself, because he's just got to not react. And in the end, it didn't cost his team hugely, and Southend will feel that that's a massive opportunity lost. They've got to play Walsall at home next this midweek. That is, every game's huge now for them. Every single match is huge, because every time they don't win a game, it's an opportunity slipping away. And I say they've got to win 3 because of their goal difference. They've got to win 3 to overtake Colchester. And Colchester, whether or not, Colchester, you've got to think at some point might pick up another win. They'll certainly not lose every game they've got until the end of the season. So they will be picking up points. If I'm honest, in my heart of hearts...
You've doomed them now.
Well, yeah. Yeah. In my heart of hearts, I do think it's a big ask for both Grimsby and Southend at this stage. And if either of them stay up, then they will have thoroughly deserved to.
I'll be honest, I kind of think Southend could. I'm looking at what's coming up. They've got the Walsall game on Tuesday, I think it is. That is winnable. Walsall are not good at the moment. under Brian Dutton. That looks one they could potentially win. You've got to remember, they tore Forest Green apart in their own backyard. They can do a lot of damage to teams.
What three games do you see them winning then? So
I can see them potentially win that Walsall one. I look at the Carlisle one they've got on the third.
Yeah.
Carlisle are just not that good a side at the moment, really. You've got potentially a game, that Colchester United game as well. And I also wonder potentially about the Leyton Orient game they've got after that as well. So you may be looking at 4 games they could potentially win there, and those 12 points could be enough. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
I mean, I don't think they'll win though. I don't think they'll win all 4, and I think they'll do well to win 3 of those.
We'll see. I'm more confident in Southend than I do Grimsby, put it that way.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think if I look at Southend,
I think realistically, you win 5 of your games, you've got a great chance. But it's a big ask. It's a big ask when you've not won in 6.
Yeah,
you know, it's a massive task to try and get out.
Stranger things have happened.
They have. But if I was a Colchester fan, I'd be fuming. The team is terrible. It's just been poor all season, you know. And the decision by the chairman to get rid of John McGreal is a huge mistake. It's a huge mistake. You know, I know we've got the benefit of hindsight, but it wasn't justified at the time, was it? Really? He'd done well last season. You know, took them to was it an FA Cup quarter final or League Cup? Sorry,
it was a League Cup.
League Cup, yeah.
Yeah, League Cup quarter final, and got them in the playoffs where they lost to a very good Exeter team. And it was fine margins as well, with them missing a great opportunity near the end of that match. Kwame Poku, I remember, was clean through and it was saved. I mean, yeah, well...
It's the way of football, though, isn't it? It's just the way it is these days.
Yeah, grass is not always greener on the other side, and it's depressing to...
Very rarely is.
Yeah, to keep reminding clubs. I mean, you know, Oldham drew 0-0 yesterday. That's their second clean sheet in 4 under Keith Curle, which is as many as they got in 32 matches under Harry Kewell. But the football's not entertaining, is it? You know,
I saw someone tweet yesterday that, you know, free-scoring Oldham Athletic have failed to score in 12 games this season.
Yeah. Yes, it's not, and you know, I actually liked Harry Kewell's football, and I like the fact that he gave players like Bahambula free rein. Yeah, Keith Curle.
We don't play Bahambula. We stopped playing Bahambula.
Yeah, I don't get that. I'd argue very strongly that a good manager would get the best out of him. A bad manager who doesn't know how to use him just leaves him.
He doesn't fit in a 3-5-2.
I mean, Bahambula and Keith Curle, that's not a combination.
Well, he doesn't fit in a 3-5-2.
Well, in my opinion, in that case, because you know how I feel about Bahambula, I think Keith Curle and Oldham's not a combination in that case. But there you go.
I said on Twitter yesterday, Keith Curle, left to his own devices, which is a big if, will get a club out of League Two. He knows how to do it, but he won't do it with too much entertainment. He'll do it. He'll get you up, and that's all he'll do. Which, you know, if he can do it next season, if he's still here, I won't be here complaining.
That's the problem with saying if he's still here.
Well, he's out of contract in the summer.
I don't know.
He might actually not get sacked this one though.
I actually think if you'd given Harry Kewell time, you know, there's evidence to suggest
and a defensive goal.
Yeah.
You'd have done better. But anyway, it is what it is, and a 0-0 draw at Bradford's not to be sniffed at. They've been in decent form, although maybe, Ed, now they're starting to look like your prediction of a playoff place is perhaps a little bit out of their reach. I'm not sure. Cheltenham, a massive win, 2-0 against Salford. Salford with the best defensive record at this level. And Cheltenham, getting 2 goals. Ben Tozer, another assist. You like saying that, Ed, but there you go. He got another assist with his long throw. Absolute great weapon, that. And a huge result for Cheltenham Town. And they've still missing a few players, so they'll take that all day long. Cambridge beating Forest Green 1-0. Someone put to me yesterday on Twitter, and I do apologise, I've forgotten the chap's name, but that Cambridge have not lost in, is it 10 Saturday home games? And basically, if you know anything about Cambridge, basically they rest Wes Hoolahan in midweek matches and play him on Saturdays. And essentially, there you go. That's how important a player he is to them this season. And he was vital again, scoring the winner yesterday in a closely fought game with Forest Green. But again, Forest Green coming up a bit short in a match where it really matters, and they'll be disappointed in that. Harrogate lost to Morecambe. Morecambe continue to be absolutely amazing this season. They beat Harrogate 1-0 again on a pretty rubbish pitch, but they got the win. And I got really annoyed with the Quest commentator calling him Mendes Lang. Carlos
Yeah,
Mendes
Carlos
Lang.
Mendes Lang.
He's thinking of the guy who was at Rochdale, isn't he?
I think he's at Cardiff now, if I remember right.
Yeah, Carlos Mendes Lang. Okay, sure, guys. But yeah, Carlos Mendes Gomez, again, a really good performance in that. We talked about Grimsby. They got a 2-2 draw with Mansfield. Again, they were so close to winning this right at the end with George Williams' header coming back off the post. But they need to win these matches. Mansfield, they'll be, again, a 2-2 draw for them where they are at the moment. Just keeping themselves away from the drop zone and looking ahead to next season is important for them. Bolton, it's a dozen unbeaten. And what we predicted last week about them being an automatic promotion contender just looks more and more likely. Wasn't as convincing perhaps as some of their other performances, but again, Hayden White, needless red card, puts Walsall in huge bother, and then it's a huge task. And again, Brian Dutton without a win, and the chairman making a statement saying that he backs him, but he knows that wins need to come or he will get rid of him. So that does not look good.
It's always a good sign when the chairman's put something out like that.
Indeed, yeah. Tranmere 2-1 win, another win for them against Exeter. Huge result for Tranmere. Joe Randall, though, looks like on scoring that goal, his hamstring's gone again. He's had a problem with it this season. That's a massive loss for them because he is such a dynamic and pacey player. I can only hope it's not as bad as it looks, but it didn't look good. Danny Lloyd, friend of the pod, great to see him scoring the winning penalty. James Vaughan, of course, after 4 to 6 weeks. Ooh. And he's been so vital to them. But again,
what's happened to him?
He had what was it, Ed? It was he's had an operation on, was it his knee?
I think it was, yeah.
He's had problems with his knee before, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's been in great form.
Yeah. It
was at Leyton Orient, I think he did the injury.
Right, because he's been injury prone throughout his career, hasn't he? And I think he's had his knee problems before.
Yeah, I mean he's been pretty good this season until then. And very robust. But yeah, he's. They have got Nugent, they've got Woolery, they've got good options, but he is a massive loss for them. So we'll keep an eye on how that goes. But a big win yesterday, 2-1 against Exeter City. Crawley and Barrow played out a really entertaining game, but Barrow getting the vital win. I'm not sure, was it Quigley who scored the winner? Because I think
it's a good guess if Barrow are playing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, big result though for Barrow. Rob Kelly's done superbly well. To take them away from the danger zone. I mean, he really...
Chris Taylor got the winner.
Yeah, well, they gave it to Chris Taylor.
No, it was down as Quigley, apparently. Apparently Quigley's basically stolen it on the line.
As good strikers do? Yeah, I did see... I saw it mentioned as Taylor, and I saw it mentioned as Quigley on other sources, so...
I've got a soft spot for Chris Taylor, so I'll let him have it.
I'm sure Scott Quigley will be claiming it as a player who has been...
I have spoken, so, that's it.
That's it. Well, I'll give Scott Quigley a call and say, I'm sorry, mate, but the D3D4 goals panel, i.e. Chris Stringer, has said it's going to Chris Taylor, because Chris Taylor wants to play for Oldham, so that's the
He's
rule.
an Oldham fan as well,
Exactly. Newport, massive defeat in their chase, because they look like they've been improving. They lost 1-0 at home to Leyton Orient. Leyton Orient, a club with, again, some injury issues. Obviously, Tristan Abrahams was ineligible to play because he's on loan, so they had to make some adjustments to their formation that they chose in midweek. But a lack of goals has really been the problem for Leyton Orient, but a 1-0 win, they'll take that all day long. And Stevenage's revival under Ravel continues, a 3-1 win against Carlisle, who they just don't look the same team, do they, since the break?
So I think there was a point we were genuinely worried about this lot. I don't know why we were. They're just the team that's on the up. They really are. Their defensive record recently has been absolutely sublime.
It has been. It's been ridiculously good. A great goal from Pep, by the way. Norris with a smart finish. Reed with a smart finish. I mean, they're all good goals. Again, though, Carlisle, red card, made it an uphill battle after getting back in the game. But it was always going to be tough going to Stevenage's side, who've been in excellent form. I mean, I'm really enjoying seeing Alex Ravel be given time, because there was they were actually trying to get McGreal in there, and I think he turned them down, so they kept Ravel. I mean, not a good look really going like that when he was still in situ, but he's turned it around.
It's the way of it now, isn't it?
It is.
Changing managers once they're still in the post, you arrange the other one. I'm not a big fan of it.
I'm not a big fan of a lot of these little things we see.
I mean, the thing is, when you get it the other way around, when a manager goes talking to other clubs, they get the sack. It's just...
Yeah, not a good look. But fair play. He's turned it around. He's doing a superb job now. And Stevenage, quite exciting to see how they build for next season because things are certainly looking up. In terms of the table, Cheltenham are top, 65 points from 36 played. Cambridge and Forest Green in those automatic promotion places just behind. Forest Green in third. They've got 61 points, level with Tranmere, but a better goal difference. Bolton, who've played one game more, are only 1 point further back. They're in fifth. Morecambe and Newport in those playoff places. Newport, very lucky, I think, that they're still in those playoff places by virtue of other sides not taking their chances, like Exeter and Salford just slipping away. And I agree with Ed now that I don't see Salford making a late run for it. They should be, because of the quality they've got, but just not been good enough.
Do you know they're probably going to end up with the best home record and the best defensive record and not make the playoffs?
Which is ridiculous, isn't it?
That's ridiculous.
I think they just need to spend more money in summer.
Yeah, that's the problem. Grimsby are bottom, 28 points from 35. Southend, 31 points from 36. Colchester and Barrow on 38 points, but Barrow have a couple of games in hand. So it's really only at this moment in time Colchester you can see being caught, but as we said in the discussion, a long way to go. A big thank you to everyone who listens to this each week. Big thank you to the patrons as well. A new patron, Praneet. Thank you very much, Praneet, for joining the Patron campaign. Really appreciate that. And if you can join for as little as $1 a month, it's a huge help, and I really appreciate your support. Chris and Ed, thank you for your time again. And we'll be back next week, where I'm sure everything will have been all change. And
which manager's going this week?
Yeah, we'll find out shortly, I'm sure.
Sheridan.
Yeah, by his own volition, I'm sure. All right, guys, catch you later.